So did you see this the other day? Yes, it was St. Patrick's, and what do we notice? The Vice President of the United States is wearing St. Patrick themed socks. Now, I'm not sure if this was planned, but he definitely did grab the attention of the president. And assuming it wasn't, because most guys think of their socks as something invisible, something nobody notices, guys, it just goes to show the small details matter. Now, you're a smart guy. Of course you know that you need to clean and polish your shoes after every couple wears. And because you subscribe to my channel, you of course know changing out your old laces with new ones is an easy way to freshen up your footwear. But what you may not know is how to deal with the soles and heel of your boots as they start to wear and discolor. Now, edge dressing is primarily used by cobblers, and the reason being is that it is a permanent dye. You gotta be careful with it. But if you're serious about your boots or dress shoes having that new look, well, gentlemen, there's no substitute for what this solution can do. So the next invisible style detail that makes a big difference, the hidden undershirt. Now, if you know your fashion history, you know that all t-shirts evolved from the undershirt, and the undershirt by its very nature was meant to not be seen. Instead, the purpose of the undershirt was to protect from the discoloring of sweat and perspiration of the body. Now, initially, the undershirt was never seen because men wore their dress shirts buttoned all the way up to the top, as that prior to World War II, pretty much any man out and about was wearing a necktie. However, in today's day and age, if you're wearing an undershirt, a lot of times you're wearing a dress shirt or button down without a necktie, and commonly one or two buttons at the top left unbuttoned. And so in this case, go with a V-neck undershirt, or even better, a deep V-neck undershirt. Also pay attention to color. There are undershirts being sold out there that are black, which isn't an issue if you're wearing a dark button down over it, but if you're wearing a light colored shirt, well, you can be able to see the undershirt underneath. My advice here is to go with gray or nude. These are the colors, in my opinion, that are most versatile. They can work with dark colored or light colored collared shirts. And believe it or not, those two colors are even more unlikely to be seen than the color white, which because of its brightness, if it's even slightly exposed underneath the shirt, it's going to be visible. The next invisible style detail is the gig line. This is the alignment of the front placket on the shirt with the belt buckle and your trouser fly seam. Most people that know about this served in the military or went to a military academy because it was one of those details that they looked for on inspection. And it may seem nitpicky. I'm not going to say you got to have it the entire day, but when you get dressed in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror. If everything's lined up, it's just a nice bit of symmetry. It looks good, and it encourages you to check your fly while you're at it. Next up, let's talk about the no contrast waistline. So really quick, look at these two pictures. Same guy, same pair of pants, same shirt, but notice how the color of the belt in one image is close to that of the trouser, while with the other image, it's closer in contrast to the shirt. Now the effect is slight, but if you look at it, what you'll notice is when you have low contrast with your belt and trousers, it lengthens your leg line. And for the vast majority of men, this is going to complement their build and their overall look. The only exception to this is if you are all legs and no torso, then you can go with the opposite look. And FYI, the worst look is if you're a little bit bigger around the midsection and then choosing a belt color that has high contrast with both the shirt and the trousers, creating a horizontal line right across your midsection, drawing attention to it. Now, in this case, you want to go with a low contrast belt, one that definitely worked with the trousers, or even maybe throw on a jacket. Now, speaking of belts, let's bring in today's sponsor, Anson Belt and Buckle. Now, gents, as many of you guys know, for over a decade, I've been working with Anson Belt and Buckle. In fact, one of the first videos I put on this channel back in, I think, like 2011 was an unpaid review of this product because I absolutely loved it. And to this day, I still wear Anson Belt and Buckle because I love their micro adjust system. Now, gents, if you haven't seen their micro adjust technology, it's making the belt hole obsolete. So the straps last longer, and overall, it's just an upgrade on an accessory that men have been wearing for over 1,000 years. On top of that, when you go over to Anson Belt and Buckle, what you're going to find is tons of straps and tons of buckles. And if you're looking to grab your first belt or maybe your 10th, guys, grab their box set. It's the best deal out there where you can select a couple buckles, maybe a few straps. And don't be shy about maxing out with 3 buckles and 3 straps, because instead of 3 belts, no, that's 3 times 3, you've got 9 different combinations, which if you didn't pick up on, guys, I love interchangeability, the idea you can own less, get more outfits out of it. So if you haven't been over to the website lately and checked out all the different straps, all the different colors, all the different styles, you're for sure going to want to get over there and look at their new money belts. Now, I've looked at money belts, and let's face it, most of them out there are pretty damn ugly. These things look great. I mean, for the most part, they are just a regular belt, except on the back. They've got that zipper. You don't even notice it's there when you're wearing it. And right in this belt, you can maybe fold in a couple emergency 100s, maybe your crypto seed codes, whatever it is you want to be able to secure. You can put this stuff right there in your money belt. No one is ever going to find this. And of course, if you're going over to Anson Belt and Buckle, make sure to use that link in the description of today's video to make sure you guys get the best deal on the web. I can't say enough great things about them. Highly recommended. The next invisible style detail that matters, your posture. Now, fixing your posture long term, this is going to include you going to the gym, changing habits, rolling those shoulders back multiple times throughout the day. But a quick hack with a piece of clothing that's just going to look great on you is to wear a sports jacket, a blazer jacket, or even a casual suit jacket. Why? Because it's a structured garment, and when you put it on, it's just going to force you to roll your shoulders back, put that chest out, and look good. Now, speaking of blazer jackets, sports jackets, let's talk about the buttons. So if it's a 2-button jacket, which is the most common out there, if you are standing, you want to button the top button. Never button that bottom button. If it's a 3-button jacket, that top button is optional. The middle, every time you stand, and the bottom, never. What you may be saying then, why does it matter? Well, it still matters because most jackets are designed to drape in a way that that bottom button should be left undone. So if you end up buttoning that bottom button, it negatively affects the overall silhouette of the jacket. Now, what's a silhouette? In style, a silhouette is the form, the shape that you have from a distance. If people were to see a light behind you and they would only see a black form, that is your silhouette. And that may not seem like a big deal, but it is, because it's one of the first things people see from a distance, making a decision of who you are and how they're going to treat you. Hence why I always encourage men to wear classic masculine garments such as a suit, because it slims up the silhouette, builds up the shoulders, creates an enhanced appearance of height and authority. All of this while you're still 50 feet away. Now, moving beyond silhouette, let's talk about cut. And cut is the way the garment is designed to fit on your body. And the reason that matters is just in the last couple years, we've seen the industry and fashion shift from going from closer fit cuts to looser cuts. So you can have a pair of slim cut trousers and a blazer that's loose from the same company if there's like 5 to 7 years difference when it was designed. The issue here and what you want to avoid is mixing cuts. You don't want to have something that's slim cut mixed with something that is a looser cut. It's like oil mixed with water. It just doesn't work. It doesn't look good. Now, speaking of mixing, let's talk about colors and let's talk about patterns. First up, tone on tone layering. Tone on tone is when you have colors that are very similar to each other. Now, what I love about these looks is they're for guys that really don't want to bring in a lot of color. They want to overall keep a muted palette. And by bringing in a variety of textures, cottons, wools, maybe even a touch of silk or linen, what they do is they leverage the texture of the fabric to create a little bit of visual breakup while the color remains pretty much the same throughout the outfit. Now, what if you want to bring in some bold colors, but you're not sure what's going to match? Well, an invisible style detail that most guys don't know is how to leverage the color wheel. So when you look at colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel, these are analogous colors, very similar to that tone on tone. Well, if you want to bring in a pop of color, then what you want to look for is what's going to be your base color. Maybe it's going to be navy. Then in that case, you want to look across the color wheel for a color that is complementary. As you can see, the color orange works very well with blue. And you do want to pay attention to the hues because there are all different types of tints, all different types of shades when it comes to variations of those base colors. But if you start there, you understand this rule, all of a sudden you're going to be able to bring in this invisible detail that most guys have not mastered. So what about patterns? So a few invisible style details. One is your eyes are going to follow the pattern. So if you've got vertical lines going up and down on a suit, on a shirt, what are they going to do? These type of patterns allow the eyes to go up and down, and they do a great job of slimming up an outfit, of bringing it all together. Now with checks, small repeating patterns, dots, even paisley, what you want to remember about this is that less is more. I personally reserve my paisleys and dots for neckties and pocket squares. And when it comes to putting patterns right next to each other, the key here is to keep the proportions different. This is an invisible detail that most guys don't know, hence they stay away from trying to put together complex combinations. But yeah, if you understand this rule, it can be done. Just put in a little bit of practice. And if you need help, don't be afraid to join our free community. We host it over at school. I'll put the link down in the description, but in this community, you can post pictures. And overall, it's just a great group of guys looking to improve themselves and get better. So go check it out. All right, so this next detail may seem tiny to most guys. It's an invisible one they don't even notice. But if you're in the style, if you've got nice shoes, if you've got a nice pair of slacks of trousers, you want to pay attention to this. You want to get your break right. Now, as you can see visually, there are 4 types of breaks out there. You've got the full break, half break, quarter break, and no break. I personally recommend if you're well over 6 foot going with a full break. If you're under 5'5", look to go with no break. And if you're anywhere in between, then you've got options. Now, that guideline's simply about proportions, but if you want to show off your shoes, then go for the no break. I know a lot of people, especially during in the summer. They love their summer trousers to have no break, to be able to show off those shoes or to just get a little bit more ventilation down there. But what you definitely want to avoid is the guy that doesn't even understand this, doesn't even get his trousers hemmed or his jeans hemmed, and ends up dragging half his trouser right behind him. Yeah, that's just never a good look. Now, gentlemen, if you enjoyed today's video, you are going to love this one. Boom, come on, I got you covered right here. Go check it out. Oh yeah.